everything that one who hears knows about life, knows about getting around in the world, his scorecard itself is thrown out the window. He thought he knew how the world works. He thought he understood his place in it. He thought he understood the rules. But as he received Jesus' call to be his apprentice, one who hears quickly learns how little he actually knew. So what in the world is God doing in all of this? Well, I'm going to show you a very impressive PowerPoint animation. Are you ready? I worked on this all night. What is God doing in the world? Well, in our world, all of us exist in communities. All of us have systems of beliefs. All of us have scorecards. All of us belong to groups of people, to ideas. We form ideas. We have these scorecards. And what is God doing in the world? Well, the world has dividing walls between these communities. There are communities at war with one another. There are people who say this, and then people who say that, and the this and that people fight. They don't see each other as human often. And what is Jesus doing in the middle of this? Well, he is calling us out of the broken heart of the communities, of the lives that we live, and he's calling us toward himself. He pulls us to the edges of our communities. And the Bible says that he is doing this because out of us, the people have been called out of the broken hearts, out of the scorecards of this world, and into his life, he's forming us into a new humanity. One that is here, but not complete, not finished. Something that will be revealed in time. And why does God call us toward himself into this new humanity? Well, part of his work is to take down the dividing walls of hostility that exist in our world. This is the work of God. He calls us out of our lives and asks us to enter into something brand new. So, when God calls us, he calls us out of the broken hearts of our various identities, starting points, beliefs about the way the world works, attachments, vows, protected selves, traumas, willingness to be killed or to kill. All of these people, from all of these places, invited to join Jesus in what Jesus is doing in the world. And what is Jesus doing in the world? It is the reconciliation of all things and all people. So, what else does it cost us to follow Jesus? Well, it costs us our independence. Now, that might not sound like much of a cost, but if your goal is to become a self-made person, this is quite a high price. Now, notice that one who hears, once he discovers who Creator sets free is. It took a miracle for him to see that. It took hearing the voice of Creator sets free. But once he discovers who Jesus is, he cannot bear to be seen by him. That's a strange reaction, don't you think? He cannot bear to be seen by him. He cannot bear to be in his presence. He cannot bear to be known by God. This need to stay away from God goes back to the earliest stories of humanity. When Adam and Eve, after they sinned, they could not bear to be seen by God. But before long, we realize that holding on to ourselves is not worth it. There are parts of ourselves that, as we are holding on to it, prevent us from going deeper into that story. And so eventually, we love God enough to give God our whole selves. So at first, we love God because what God will do for us, and then we give ourselves to God. The story doesn't end there, of course, because there are parts of you that are created by God. There are parts of you that are an expression of the identity and the image of God. We are given gifts, we are given blessings, we are given wholeness and healing. And God offers our transformed selves back to us. And if we want to continue following Jesus, we have to take the good stuff in us seriously. And so we receive ourselves back. But then we realize, what is the point of having all of this transformation if we can't give it to God and to others? And so we hand ourselves back to God. And we hand ourselves to others because we want to become like Jesus. Jesus is a servant of all. Jesus practiced downward mobility. Jesus did not consider being God something to be grasped, but emptied himself. And so because we want to imitate Jesus, we begin to try to give ourselves away. And guess what giving ourselves away does? It exposes deeper attachments. It exposes other places. It exposes new gifts. As we begin to practice those and we hand them to God, God transforms them and hands them back to us. And then we receive those and then we give those back to God and to others. It is an ongoing interrelatedness that is a deep part of our calling. What else does following Jesus cost us? It costs us control over our future. When you enter into this story, you are no longer the one in charge of where it goes. You're no longer the one in charge of where it goes. Everyone in this room is at some stage of this story, some stage of responding to this call. Our lives are heading in directions that we may not fully understand or have total control over. Some of us are stuck this morning. We see the costs ahead of us and we're unsure we want to pay them. We're uncertain we can take another step. There is someone here this morning that is in that spot. They're stuck. Some of us have recently received ourselves back from God. We see our lives right now and what God can do for us, and we want to give ourselves over to Him again. Some of us are getting called deeper. We need to hand something over to God, but we might be afraid, or we might be nervous, or we might be about to take the leap, to step out in faith. Some of us are stepping into something new, something bigger than ourselves, something that we could barely see or fully understand, but we're taking that step in faith because we know that we're called. And friends, this is why we meet together every week, is to live out this story, to encourage one another. We're here to grieve with people who grieve. We're here to celebrate with people who've got something to celebrate. This is who we are together, each of us responding to God, whether with fear, nervous, anticipation, or gratitude. So, my friends, my parting words for you today are this: go easy on each other. Everyone in this room this morning is fighting a secret battle you know nothing about. Each of us counting costs that are between them and their Creator. So go easy on each other.